like no other in Metropolis when the Man of Steel received an urgent call from the Green Lantern Corps. Sinestro was wreaking havoc off-world, and Superman was the only hope the Corps had. But before he could suit up and fly away as fast as a speeding bullet, his fiancée, the stunning Lois Lane, begged him not to go. "Please don't go so close to our wedding day," she pleaded with a hint of desperation in her trembling voice. "Lois, my love, I'll be back in no time. I'm Superman, remember?" He clasped her hands gently in his and gave her a reassuring smile. Her heart ached with fear and jealousy as she watched her beloved bid her goodbye. But before Superman could take to the skies, he mentioned that his trusted ally and friend, Wonder Woman, would be joining him for the mission. That mere mention of Wonder Woman lit a burning flame in Lois's heart. Her eyes narrowed with an intense determination as she watched the Amazonian princess land her stunning invisible jet. Little did Superman know, Lois was desperate to make him jealous. With the wind whipping her hair, Lois marched off in search of a plan for revenge. The very next day, Lois's devious plan began to take shape. She had a devilish glint in her eye as she muttered to herself, "I'll find some hopeless loser, flirt with him shamelessly, take a few snaps, and post those pictures on Instagram. Poor Clark won't know what hit him." Suddenly, like a vision from the comic books, she saw him, a short and goofy-looking man, donned in garb that screamed Comic-Con enthusiast. His finger was void of a wedding band, making her scheme all the more viable. Her heart racing with impish excitement, Lois skipped towards the stranger and fluttered her eyelashes. "Hey, handsome!" Goku stood befuddled, unsure of how to respond. But Lois was on a roll. She flashed her pearly whites and returned, "Hey, handsome!" Unbeknownst to Goku's naive mind, he had been unwittingly ensnared by Lois's scheme. But before long, Chi-Chi, Goku's ever-vigilant wife, overheard the exchange and stormed over, suspicion coursing through her veins. Chi-Chi's voice rang out, stern and accusing. "What do you think you're doing, flirting with my husband?" Lois began to stammer, trying to explain that she didn't realize Goku was married. But before she could finish her sentence, Chi-Chi jumped into a fighting stance. Tension hung heavy in the air as both women eyed each other, poised and ready for battle. Chi-Chi was a fierce and highly skilled martial artist with a temper to match her might. But Lois was no pushover either. Her fiery spirit mirrored it in her combat skills. The two combatants began to circle each other, each waiting for the opening to deliver a knockout blow. Lois swung first, but Chi-Chi quickly paired the hit and counteracted with a devastating jab, followed by a vicious kick that sent Lois hurtling to the ground. At that moment, Lois knew she had made a grave mistake. Panic set in as she frantically tapped the button on her watch, usually reserved for summoning her beloved Superman. But much to her horror, she realized that Superman was far from reach. In the face of this immense danger, Lois's instincts kicked in. She gritted her teeth, pushing herself back into her feet. Her mind whirled as she weighed her options. Maybe I should apologize, but then again, that she-beast hit me first. All right, let's do this. Muscles tensed. The women circled once more. Chi-Chi went in for another punch, but Lois dodged and countered, unleashing a flurry of blows. Her confidence grew as she began to dance around with ease. In a flash, the tide of the fight turned. Chi-Chi, like a Saiyan warrior, rose to the challenge. She unleashed an onslaught of the most epic proportion, delivering some of the most ferocious blows ever traded between two mortals. Just as the lights were beginning to fade for Lois, the sound of tires screeching echoed in the distance. Without missing a beat, Batman arrived on the scene. Leaping out of the Batmobile, With unparalleled grace and agility, Lois had not signaled in vain, and soon Batman had inserted himself between Chi-Chi and her. With a quick nod, he signaled for Lois to retreat to the safety of the Batmobile. Meanwhile, Goku considered making a move, but upon realizing that Batman had no superhuman abilities, he stepped back, curious to see how this martial arts showdown would unfold. Whatever was going to happen next, it was sure to be an epic event. With Lois safely in the Batmobile, Batman stood resolutely before Chi-Chi, ready to defend his ally. She was no ordinary foe, though with a fighting prowess that far exceeded any he had ever encountered. The superhero and the warrior circled each other, calculating their next moves. Batman landed the first punch, but Chi-Chi nimbly weaved away, countering with a slap that sent Batman reeling. Determined to protect Lois, Batman gathered himself and launched into a series of devastating strikes. Chi-Chi responded with equal ferocity, a brutal fight, fast fists, and fiery kicks. Their dance of combat continued, each landing painful blows on the other. Batman was skilled, but he was up against a woman whose warrior spirit matched his own. The two battled on, giving everything they had. In the end, it was Chi-Chi who emerged victorious, her final punch knocking Batman down to the ground. As she stood tall, triumphant, Batman disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving Goku to stand beside her with the air of a proud husband. Without a word, the two gladiators locked eyes in mutual respect.